Hi everyone, welcome to today's Cyberry planning session. So if you aren't familiar with our planning sessions, you can comment to me in the comments here within the Cyberry Facebook group. I will have a replay of this live session available on the live sessions page as well as within this group. And for anyone who isn't able to tune in, maybe they don't have a Facebook or anything like that, you'll be able to watch the live replay on YouTube as well. The only exception for replays for the planning sessions is if it's a group session. Group sessions are held over Zoom, and I want to maintain other people's privacies by not recording those sessions and uploading them. So the only replay sessions that you'll have available to watch are the ones with just me. So I asked in the Facebook group whether people wanted a kind of planning session with just me or as a group planning session to kick things off for 2022. And everyone said, or mostly everyone said, a planning session with just me. So I am bringing that to you today, and then hopefully later this week or maybe next week or something, I'll post another poll so you guys can vote on a planning session to do as a group, which we hold over Zoom. So hopping over into my planner today, I have my Cyberry open. At the end of this session, I'll be sure to answer any questions that you have. But I don't really have anything specifically planned for this live session like I did for the last two. I am going to show you though how I set up my Cyberry this year. I know a lot of people had questions about how I'm using kind of these extra template pages and whatnot, and how I'm really using Cyberry. I'm also going to show you some of my Cyberry notebook because I've been using that more and more lately, and I wanted to give you kind of a deep dive into that as well. So this is what my Cyberry is looking like right now. This is January, and as you can see, I don't have the most elaborate and beautiful spreads. I am really a very functional planner. My main purpose for even creating digital planners at all when I first got started back in 2018 was just to have essentially a very basic monthly, a very basic weekly. That way I could write out my deadlines and my due dates for classes whenever I was in college at UNC, and that's how all my paper planners were. I just went to Target, picked out the nicest one that had a nice monthly and a nice weekly. I've never used any daily pages or anything like that, and so having daily pages in Cyberry has really gave me the opportunity to explore daily pages even more. But I still do most of my planning on the monthly and on the weekly pages. So this is what Cyberry is looking like. As you can see, I've done a little bit of planning, and then there's some parts of just my handwriting. The text here is enter, which you can find in the Cyberry library if you're not familiar with that. And yeah, there's nothing really special going on with January. I can hop into my weeks so you can see. I'm testing out a lot of different ways for my weeklies. I don't know if I've used any horizontal style in Cyberry. I don't normally plan by the hour or do a ton of time blocking unless it's a very particularly busy week. I mainly like horizontal, and I did in my past planners, but I've really been using the vertical a lot in Cyberry. So just scrolling through, you can see a few more kind of planning things that I did. Here I broke it up by kind of subject, and I used the whiteout trick to remove the hours for this one just so they weren't as distracting. But I had like a massive to-do list on the side. I was using the new KDigitalStudio widgets, and yeah, this one's a little bit more neat, but I've also been kind of less attentive to this week. Yeah, and that's really just because I've been kind of doing my own thing, not really doing any kind of scheduled work. I've just been experimenting with like digital designs and artwork and kind of reading. As you can tell, lots of reading. There's just not a lot that I've been doing personally that's been scheduled work, just more like fun and fulfilling work. And then this is next week, which I haven't done, or this week that I haven't done, but yeah, I already went ahead and set up part of February as well. I did a February planning video. Actually, it's going to be coming up, so it's not out yet, but it'll be coming up. I kind of pre-filmed that ahead of time since we'll be on our honeymoon when that video goes live. So I went ahead and filmed February, and this is just the highlighter, right? So I just used the highlighter to kind of make these like long marks, and I really like using the highlighter for that. But here's a peek at February. I will show you my quarterly overview. I've used that page a ton and really built it out really nice in Cyberry. I am going to have to block out like 99% of it though, because I do have a lot of products and courses and stuff planned that I don't want yet revealed. There is some stuff in February, but that's kind of like for the whole year, and so there's going to be kind of a blur or something over a lot of this. But what I did is I kind of color coded each month, not necessarily trying to be specific with any one color, just kind of keeping one month all the same color and writing out some kind of tentative things. I used the highlighter, I used the pen to draw circles and then color them in, and kind of just make a mess of this page and really get my thoughts and my plans down for this quarter on this page. So the quarterly page is broken up by your by your 4 quarters, and then you have a goals section and a main events and priorities section. I don't know if you're able to see it based on kind of the blur that I have going on here, but there is a section called other products to consider. For me, I was just considering a bunch of other products that I could release that are fulfilling and intentional and functional that you would love, and I actually just did the whiteout trick to white out the main events and priority section and then type in the same font with the same weight, the same font weight, to make it look like it's actually part of that spread. And that's one of the main reasons why I chose that font, is so not only does it kind of give that Apple look, because Enter is a cousin of the San Francisco font by Apple, but it also allows you to download it yourself and make use of those weights and those functions to kind of match things to your planner if you wanted to. So that's my page there. I'll also show you my login and logout pages. I can't remember what I did with those. Right. Now I remember. So my login page, so I'm actually not a huge fan of vision boards. I find them to be kind of ugly. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of vision boards. Like, I like the idea of them. I like the thought of them. I occasionally will like other people's, the way they look, but I kind of feel like it's kind of a bunch of just random Pinterest images kind of thrown together, and it's not really all that inspiring to me. But I did experiment with trying to create one, since I do have kind of a love-hate relationship with them, but so many people love vision boards. So I wanted to experiment with my own vision board. I made a 2022 kind of vision board on my Pinterest, but what I did is I cut up my mantras page that I showed in my last Cyberry Live, and I had that mantras page on my login and logout pages for the 2021 version of Cyberry, but I just kind of cut that up and pasted it on this vision board that I created, and I did all of that in Procreate. So I cut this up and kind of put it around there, put 2022, and then made kind of a mashup of a vision board and a mantras page. Along the side here, I have some bigger goals for myself. Some of those aren't necessarily related to KDigitalStudio. I have more personal goals here on the side, but again, I just used the same font and typed that out, and then drew and colored in these circles. And then whenever I complete those goals, a lot of these are like really big goals that'll take several months to achieve them, I guess, and I can just check those off when I do that. I don't think I set up my login page. I did a little bit. I intend for my my logout page. I intend for my logout page to serve as the milestones page. So anytime I have a really great memory or a particularly great milestone, I want to write it in this page. I don't know if I'm going to have a logout or I don't know if I'm going to put a logout routine here yet or not, but I definitely want this side of my logout page to serve as the milestones page. I do have a milestone that I hit that I didn't put in here, the 100,000 plus subscriber milestone. It's a really big milestone to hit on YouTube, and they'll send you an award and everything, and so I wanted to document that. And what I intend to do is just put the date that I hit that, so I will need to look back to see when that was, because I don't remember. I think it was the 2nd of January. Okay. Yes, okay. It was the 2nd of January. Don't know why it took me so long. Okay, so I'll just type that in there. hit 100K subscribers on YouTube. Whoops. And then I'm just going to bold this section. So I'm going to go to enter, and then you'll see this little arrow where it shows you the different weights. And so it's on enter regular, so I'm just going to do maybe semi-bold. That looks pretty good. And then I can just drag it to this. There. So now I have one milestone in there, and I'll also show you the yearly overview. I might have to block out some of this, maybe not. A lot of this stuff is definitely going to change. So for my yearly overview, again, I used the highlighter tool. As you'll see throughout my Cyberry, I really like using the highlighter tool to block out days or events and whatnot. And there's a number of different colors that I have added to my highlighter, and I have 3 different sizes for them. So I have 2.3 millimeter, 4, and 6.9. I like using the 6.9 on my monthly and weekly spreads. For these littler ones, I like using this 4.0 millimeter. So I can just zoom in here, kind of highlight those and block those off. And then I used the pen tool to kind of circle the whole month because I wasn't really sure exact days, just kind of putting like little question marks, like maybe we could do a trip then, or maybe we'll move out then, and just stuff like that. And right here is a post-it note. I have sticky notes available in the shop. I just took one of those to write out kind of ideas and brain dump those. So those were kind of like main things that I wanted to keep in mind whenever I was planning out this yearly page. But again, this is probably all going to be erased and start over because I did do this in 2021, and I already know some things are going to change a bit for this yearly overview. So that's how I have that planned out. I'm going to pop over into these monthly pages. Oh, before I do that, I wanted to show you the reward section. So the reward section is a great opportunity for you to be able to get more rewards for supporting KDigitalStudio using Cyberry. And so with that reward section, once you're done with the rewards section, you can convert that to whatever you want and rename it if you wanted to. So I converted my rewards section into a more long-term goals page, and these boxes you see here, I actually just drew in GoodNotes. So if I were to lasso this, I just drew these boxes and whatnot in GoodNotes, and I did the screenshot trick to cover the rewards page and then just draw on top of it. So you take your lasso tool and lasso anywhere on your planner and then tap and hit take screenshot. You'll hit this arrow button here and hit copy, and then you can zoom out, long press somewhere and hit paste, and then just resize it to cover whatever you want in your planner. And then whenever you need to go move something, just make sure under lasso you have images toggled off because that's considered an image. And then I just drew on top of that. So let me toggle off images. And then if I zoom in here, I could actually like color these if I wanted to because they are hand drawn. So if I wanted to, I could change the color of those or whatnot. And I just used the second default gray color that GoodNotes had as a pen option in their app. So, and it blended really nicely with the planner. And then I just used the highlighter tool to color these in, and yeah, kind of a goals page I converted from rewards. So hopping into the, one other thing. Hopping into January, if I click January, you know, if you go into any month and you click the monthly title, it pops out the hidden calendars where you can have personal, work, or business, and then 3 or 4 custom sections. And you can also change the name of the default sections if you wanted to. What I did for January is I actually created a monthly dashboard page. So this page, if I click March, this is the personal page. But what I did is I pasted a template entirely over those monthly calendars just because I'm not a student anymore and there's really no separation between KDigitalStudio and my personal life. There's really no separation. It's all intertwined. So I just used that first monthly calendar, but I did want to kind of have a dashboard or maybe a reflections page, and so I just converted the first hidden monthly calendar as a monthly dashboard. This I made in either Keynote or Procreate, so it matches kind of the overall aesthetic of Cyberry, and I will have this template available in the Cyberry library if you do want to download and use the same template. But this is kind of a habit tracker for the month. I have a goals section here, a next action section, as well as a products section. But the template here, I can actually just, if I have images turned off, I can actually move the text there because I left this blank and then just added text to make it look like I wanted this section to be products. But let's say for February or March or next month, I don't necessarily need a product section. I can change it to whatever I want, have another kind of checklist section. I have a milestone section for the month as well. No matter how little of a milestone, I do want to make sure I'm keeping track of that monthly and then put my bigger milestones, maybe achieving those goals, on my logout page. And then I do have a little reflection section here where I could journal out if I don't want to follow my normal monthly reflection that I do monthly, obviously. If you're interested in how I do my monthly reflections, I will have a video that I did over on YouTube linked below, kind of in the description of this live session, but yeah, that's how I did January. So hopping into these monthly tabs, I think you're going to be underwhelmed, honestly. So for my notes section, so I do have a few meetings either with brands or my accountant or whatever, and I haven't had one yet for January. So I just put kind of notes that I wanted to remind myself to ask her or to talk about with her later. And then whenever I do have my meetings with her, I normally have a few action items I need to do. There's some things I might need to delegate, other deadlines and stuff. And so that's where all my meetings kind of live, in this notes section. And it's separated out by month. And then a great thing is with GoodNotes is you can change the text color or your pen color. And so I'll do black for one meeting. If I have a second or third meeting throughout the month, I can do those in a different color. And I know that that represents a different meeting that took place, but it's all in kind of one notes page, which I really, really like. So kind of an underwhelming page because I haven't had a meeting yet, but just some things that I wanted to talk about. My finances page, I will pop over into 2021 so you can see my finances for either November or December. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do my finances in Cyberry yet or not, just because I have an easier time with that being on Notion, since I have so many transactions between my personal accounts and my KDigitalStudio accounts, and so it's normally a lot easier for me to just have that automated. So I guess we'll see. However, I did really like handwriting everything out whenever I was doing that in the 2021 Cyberry. So this is November, and I just duplicated pages whenever I need more for transactions or the budget. But that's kind of how I did my finances for November. Just really messy, just getting down my transactions for that month, and I found that really helpful. But again, it's just becoming so much that I'm not sure that it's as wise for me to keep it in Cyberry. However, what I think I might do is convert this into an like future expenses page or a wish list page, so something still finance related, but something that I'm not having to access like every day or every week. I can just have that live there, prices and whatever I want, and then what I can do is add links through GoodNotes by typing something like www.amazon.com, because we all shop on Amazon. Most of us, I'm sure, want things from Amazon. And I can just type in amazon.com and it converts it to a link. So I can create links for my wish list or future purchases that I'd like to have, either for myself or for KDigitalStudio. So I'm probably going to turn that page into a more wish list or future expenses page. But I haven't built that out yet, and it's probably going to be something super simple that I can do here right now, just using the screenshot trick. And then we'll copy this, and then I'll cover this. And then we'll call it, I'll leave February finances, but then I can just have like an expected or future expenses section, and then I could have like a wish list section. So let me see. I'm going to deselect fill color under my shapes tool, and then I'm just going to draw out, let me do it super thin. So I'm going to do it at 0.3. So I can have those thin lines. Hold, so I can have my square, or rectangle rather. And then I'm just going to copy this. Tap to resize using the pen tool. And yeah, okay, so I'm going to call this future expenses. And then I'll just resize this to be a little bit more. And then we'll call this like wish list. I really like just using the tools in GoodNotes when I can to make things like this. And then I'll just use my highlighter. So we'll go with green. And I'm going to resize this again. There. Great, great, great. And then what I can do is just go in and paste pictures and then have whatever it is and then the link to that. So let me see if I can do that real fast. Not really sure what I want. So I already have this on the way, but let's say I was getting the newer MacBook Pro that came out. I'm going to have GoodNotes along the side here, and I'm just going to drag and drop an image in. Could have my image here, and then with text I could say MacBook Pro, 32 gigabytes of memory, price, and whatever else. In parentheses, I'll put that this is a KDigitalStudio purchase, not a Kirsten purchase. And then I could put a link to the product. I don't know what the link is for Apple products. I'm just going to put apple.com. And then it will take me there if I wanted it to. Like this. So that's kind of how I envision using these pages, and it was really quick to set up, so glad we could have done that together. Let me, okay, so here's a great point. So because I did the screenshot trick, it's essentially an image, but I also placed an image on top of that. If I use my lasso tool and turn on images and try and kind of pick both of those up, can't do that, but I do want to delete that. So I'm just going to click the image tool here and just tap that to delete it. So I know I mentioned that in a dozen other videos of mine, but there's still people who are still getting caught on with digital planning, and I wanted to bring that up while we're here. So that's how I would do that page. My wellness page, I also did a few changes to. Cyberry was created, so it's really easy for you to make changes to. So this is the wellness page. It looks pretty much the same, but I changed a lot of the bulk here, and I just did that using GoodNotes. So I used the default gray color here and then a 0.3 millimeter thin line to kind of draw out kind of the grid lines of this. I'm going to use my February wellness page as my fertility chart. So this is where I have kind of my key. I've already made this, and the great thing about this is that I already went and pasted it on every page. So templates like this are already all set up for me, ready to use. So I have a symptoms page, and I can just mark off when I have a symptom that day. And then for these, I can bullet in my temperature and then kind of color in or kind of lasso and copy and lasso those on those days. And then I use the highlighter here for other things. So that's a look at February. I did kind of fall off track here with January because I do all this automatically on my phone as well every single day. I did want to have kind of a better visual on my iPad, which is why I started it on my wellness page, but I did fall off of it, but I intend to be better with it moving forward for February and March. So this is kind of how that would look for my wellness page. And then I have a notes section to make notes of any other symptoms that were particularly bothersome, and then I also have this blank section that I can convert to whatever for that month. So alright, so let's move over into my meal planning page. Okay, so we have my meal planning page, which I'm probably going to convert into something else entirely. Hunter does all of the cooking and meal planning and everything, so I don't have to worry about it, and there's really no need for me to have a meal planning section in my planner since I don't do that anymore. I did meal plan for a good bit of my life, like 3 or 4 months, and like shopped ahead of time, cooked all the food ahead of time, planned it all out. I don't do that anymore, but I know a lot of people do that, especially those with families, and it's just more helpful that way. But I don't do that anymore, thankfully. A good bit of that weight is taken off my shoulders, so I don't need or use this meal planning page, so I'm probably going to convert it. But for those who do use this meal planning page, this was more seen as a whiteboard. So whenever I did meal planning, I had a kind of whiteboard, dry erase board type thing, magnet on my fridge. And for the week, I would have all of the meals and all of the things that I needed to get from the grocery store for those meals for that week. And then at the end of the week, I would erase it and start fresh. And so that's what this is essentially mimicking. So if you wanted to keep kind of like an archive of your meal plannings for the week, what you could do is take screenshots and paste those into your Cyberry notebook if you wanted to, or you can just duplicate the page. So plus page, and then you could hit current template and just make sure it's either before or after, depending on how you wanted to plan that out. After probably makes the most sense. And then you can just bookmark for that week. And then if you go into your thumbnail view here, you can go under favorites or outlines, and it would be there. So that's the vision for the meal planning page. I don't have a vision for mine. I'm not sure what I would convert this page into, but this is a page that I don't use at all, and that's just because my husband takes care of that. So for my fitness page, I haven't filled it out yet, but I did buy a jump rope, and I wanted to try out some jump skipping, and so I was going to plan out the week for that. But this essentially has the same purpose as the meal planning page, that you'll have your week's exercises, and then at the end of that week, you can erase them like a whiteboard and start fresh for the new week, or you can duplicate that page if you want to have an archive of your exercises. What's great about GoodNotes now that you can have external links, is that that's primarily how I will be doing my fitness whenever I can get back on track, is having videos that I can follow along, or start following the Apple Fitness Plus programs again and just document what the exercise is and with what trainer. And so that's the vision for this fitness page. I don't have that filled out yet because I will have to look through my Apple Fitness account to see what I'm in the mood for, but yeah, that's all this page is. If you do have kind of a more dedicated fitness section, or you like to be more detailed with your fitness spreads, you can just paste those in there using the image tool. So if you have your fitness spread saved to your camera roll, you could just paste those in there, or you can do the drag and drop by split screening. So I'm going to keep my fitness page the same though, because all I would do is just write out what the exercise is, and then the only thing I might change is this section. So what I could do is do the color dropper trick to get this color here. I think I already have that color saved actually. And then I can just color these to cover it. It's a little bit different, but that's okay. And then I can just type external link, or what the link is, and then just paste the link there. That's probably the only thing I would change, or like how long the workout is. I might put minutes on one of those rows, but that's probably the only thing I would change about this spread for just me personally. So for my tracking spread, So you can use this tracking spread for literally anything you want. Whenever I was first using the Cyberry, when I was using it for 2021, I actually used this as my fertility page. Just because it was so massive and really easy to use. I decided to convert the wellness page into this and then have my tracking page not only be my habit tracking, but also kind of what I did that day, kind of to serve as a daily log. So I put a ton of stuff here. I also put a few symptoms that I always have, an upset stomach or a headache or migraines, put those things in there. And I also put things in here that I don't necessarily do every day, but I want to see how often I did that a month, if that makes sense. So I put things like wash hair or skincare routine, practice a skill, tried something new, if I had an appetite, because my appetite's been low, just things like that, drink water, floss, brush teeth, read a book, just things that I want to see how often I'm doing a month. And I put some things that I do daily, I put some things that I do weekly, just things that I want to, see what I'm doing each month. And then for the project management page, I do need to fill this out a bit. I do have essentially the same spread but out into Notion, so it's just a matter of making sure it's also in Cyberry. But I'm always working on some sort of project, or there is a project that I really want to start and just haven't yet, and a lot of it just is just writing it down and making sure I get started with it. So for instance, I've really been in the mood to try making a chunky blanket, and so I could put a chunky blanket here for not started, and then certain tasks. So buy 6 skeins, watch tutorial, and then like so on, and then the actual project is the chunky blanket. Forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb, sorry. And then I'll just move that for the project. Then I can check off when I did it or how long I want to do it, either using my pen tool or my highlighter here. Let's do a smaller one. So it's only going to take me a day to do this. So let's say Monday. But watching the tutorial might take me a week to go through. Might take me from, planning out. I don't know if you guys used a template like this before, and then I can write in the days, or dates at the top, like this. So it's really just a matter of me building those out, but I don't envision myself making changes to this page like I did the wellness page or the other pages, the finances page that I was using for Cyberry. So it's just a matter of making sure mine are ready to go in there. My goals page is the same way. I don't intend on switching up this page. There are different goals I want to hit in each area of my life, and I want to document those goals, and starting and ending metrics is mainly a more business thing. So how many followers did I start with? How much revenue did I start with? And things like that. And yeah. So I can go ahead and start setting up for February for this. There's no setup for these. Obviously, I set up my wellness on every page, every month, and I set up my tracking for every month. But I do want to make sure that I'm setting up a spread that I know I'm going to love and want to use month after month. And then once I have that set up, I can copy and paste it across all of the months. So for a starting metric for February, I would just put the number of followers I have to start. So blank followers on Instagram. Not that any of this matters, but it is kind of a fun thing to track over time. Blank subscribers on YouTube. And then once it hits February, like the last day of January rather, I can edit what the number actually is. Blank newsletter subscribers. Blank sales. Blank revenue. Copy and paste those into the ending metrics, and so at the end of February I can write what the ending number was, and then I can actually copy this whatever those last numbers were, and then paste it for the starting metrics for March. Outcome-based goals are goals where you're looking for a specific outcome and you'll know you've hit that goal if you reach that outcome. Habit-based goals are if you're following a specific routine, you break a habit, you start a new habit, and it's working out really well. So those are the kind of things that I put in there. I do have a whole goals section built out in my Notion, and it's just a matter of also pasting it in the goals section for Cyberry. For the different goals of my life, though, I can go ahead and fill out those sections. So obviously work, so KDigitalStudio is my job, get a salary from it. So I'll have KDigitalStudio in one. And then I will have like a personal development section. So I want to try new skills outside of KDigitalStudio, and I'll have that as a section. Could have relationship as one. And then for a second one, maybe household. There are definitely some goals I could accomplish with household. Yeah, pretty good. So that's how I would set that up. So nothing super fancy going on, but that's just kind of how I plan and get things done in Cyberry. I'm a very functional planner. I did want to pop over and show you a little bit of my Cyberry notebook though. So for my Cyberry notebook, there are 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I just want to make sure. 12 sections, 12 main sections, 8 subsections. So I do have some sections already planned. I have a routines, flower study, DIYs, on my heart or on heart section, manifest, and product design. So if I hop over into one of the subsections here, so the main sections are here, and these are your subsections. I do have a morning, evening, skincare, hair care, weekly, and monthly routine section. I'm really trying to get better with my routines for 2022, and I wanted to build out more elaborate spreads for my routines, and I thought it was best to have that in my Cyberry notebook. So I did, again, draw out the same boxes, and I used some of the life and stickers to kind of decorate it a bit. And so I have a morning routine for a low day, an average day, and a high day. Same with an evening. Now, I don't have spreads built out yet for my skincare, hair care, weekly, or monthly routines, but I do have the setup there ready to go. Just got to make those spreads. For my flower study, there's nothing really fancy. I find that I like bookmark a lot of stuff on the internet and then never go back to it and use it, even though it's super useful. And so I'm trying to make a habit of revisiting the stuff I save and writing out my notes or what inspired me about making sure I want to save that. And so that's kind of what my Cyberry notebook is serving as. It's kind of like a massive clipboard, really. So for my flower study, I saved a bunch of vintage, like archived pages of flowers, and I wanted to incorporate that a lot whenever I do just personal artwork or exploring, more anatomical, like exact parts of a flower. And so I just have that saved under flower study. For DIYs, I'm saving a lot of DIYs and stuff that I could easily do with the stuff that I have here. So a lot of that is clay. I have a ton of polymer clay, and so I saved some DIYs I could easily do for that, as well as some DIYs that I might want to do in the future if I ever purchased those tools to make those DIYs or things I feel like I could easily do but make it look really nice. So I just have those saved here. Yeah. And then for my on the heart section, this is just me like building out something that's been on my heart and figuring out stuff like that. For my manifest section, I really just built out kind of like a outfit inspo board, I guess. So I really have a habit of just impulse buying whenever it comes to clothes. And so I wanted to build out a board that has the style that I most gravitate towards to, or a style that I want to find myself gravitating towards to. And if I see something I like on the internet and it doesn't really fit this style, or if it's not something that I already have or can make use of, then I obviously wouldn't buy it. So this is more of a deter myself from buying clothes that aren't necessarily my style or that I don't know that I would look that great in. And then for my product design category, this is where I'm kind of brain dumping and brainstorming the different designs for future products. So I've already started the product design for Cyberry 2023, and that's kind of what this page is. What I did is took a screenshot of the monthly page, and I plan on doing that for the other pages, and then just kind of I guess doodling and writing out notes along the sides. That's how I best design, is to just kind of quickly make something or quickly make a design if it doesn't exist yet, and then doodling future designs, put an icon here, bold the text here. That's how I work best, and so that's what I did for this, for Cyberry. So that is what I have built out in my Cyberry notebook, and then I can easily have my Cyberry planner pulled out alongside of it. And then I don't think I have anything too special to share in my 2021 version of Cyberry. Now that we're in 2022, I guess I could show you a few of the daily pages that I did. I did several throughout December, but not as many as you would think. So for instance, here's a daily page, nothing fancy or built out like by a lot, but I separated by section again, kind of like how I did in my weeks for the 2022 version of Cyberry. I drew and colored these dots and wrote out in text, so I have a personal work and just for fun section, and that was working pretty well for me, so I did that kind of off and on, writing out notes along the side. So it's very simple, and that was what my daily looked like for a while. And then got a little more detailed later. It might have been in November when I did, since I went on break in December. So let me check November real fast. Here's me experimenting with the weather widgets when I was first working on those in November. Here I was writing out kind of notes here along the sides, as you can see. More notes. Here's where I try to get a little bit more detailed and try and journal every day, since journaling is apparently really great for you if you do it daily. So I was experimenting with that a little bit, and I was also experimenting with the widgets. So this is around the time that the widgets were released, and so I was using that throughout Cyberry, and I found that to be really effective. So these are what a lot of my dailies looked like for a while. And then I actually converted this to an expenses section. You can do the screenshot trick, or you can do the, you can do the screenshot trick here, or you can do the whiteout or gray out rather trick, and I just changed that to the word expenses, and I typed out my daily expenses for that day. So I had that going for a little bit in November, but I really relied on the weekly and monthly pages for Cyberry, and that's primarily what I use in Cyberry. So I hope this gave you some ideas for things that you can use your monthly spreads for, and gave you ideas on how you can change things up really easily throughout your Cyberry planner. Did a login and log out section, as well as a yearly and quarterly overview. I know those pages aren't as often shared, but I know a lot of these pages, specifically the monthly templates when it comes to your wellness, your meals, your fitness, a lot of those things are more personal, so it makes sense if they're not being shared as often, just because I myself wouldn't necessarily share those pages every day like you would your weekly and your monthly and your daily pages. Those make sense to be shared more. But did want to give you a little peek into that, and my hidden calendars and stuff as well. So hopefully this gave you some ideas. If you saw something in this video that you liked, such as my monthly dashboard page or whatever, that will be up in the Cyberry library. But yeah, that's all that I have for today. I also will have a video either next week or the week after. I'm pretty sure it's the week after next. I will have my February monthly planning video available on YouTube, so you can see how I set up my February for Cyberry. But yeah. Before I ended today's session, I did want to answer a few questions. So I got a lot of questions that I feel like could easily be answered with the Cyberry tutorials. So if you head to the website that has the Cyberry tutorials, I go pretty in depth with them, but I break them up into more manageable videos. So I don't think there's anything over 10 minutes. There might be, but a lot of the videos are 2 to 3 minutes, sometimes 4 minutes, kind of going through how to create a shortcut for the digital planner on your iPad. I know there are a few people even that created kind of like Instagram Reels or TikToks to show you how to do that with Cyberry as well. So I'll be sure to link the page for the Cyberry tutorials in the Facebook group. But those tutorials were created for you to be able to kind of easily access those and watch those as they pertain to the Cyberry Digital Planner. Those tutorials also cover the links and how the links work within the planner and how to access the weekly, the daily, and the monthly pages, because I know the people who didn't watch the flip through video before purchasing Cyberry, a lot of them didn't realize that there were hidden monthly calendars or how to access the weeks. And so I do recommend watching those tutorial videos because I worked really hard on them, and those will answer a majority of the questions that you might have about Cyberry. And also watching the Plan With Me videos on Cyberry, the live planning sessions, and just see how I use Cyberry will hopefully give you some ideas on not only how it works, but also how you can use it to benefit your own kind of planning style and your own lifestyle. I also got some questions about the widgets. So the widgets are not included with Cyberry. They just work really well in Cyberry, and that's where a lot of the pictures or spreads you see of people using the widgets, they were using it in Cyberry. But the widgets are not exclusive to Cyberry. You can use the widgets in any planner you have. There are people who have bought the widgets but don't have Cyberry. There are people who have Cyberry but don't buy the widgets. The widgets just go really nicely with Cyberry. So those aren't included with Cyberry. You do get add-on stickers with Cyberry, but those are just kind of very basic planning stickers. So icons and stuff like that you can use just to kind of get you started. If you're new to digital planning and don't have this massive sticker collection built up, you do get quite a few whenever you do have Cyberry. But the planning widgets, all the other widget packs, those are just separate purchases that aren't included with the Cyberry Digital Planner. As far as future widget packs, I do have widget pack ideas that I'm going through and working the designs through. The most recent widget pack that I released was the Students widget pack. So if you're a student, that set will benefit you most. Office hours schedule, assignments that are due, grades, just anything a student would want if they wanted kind of stickers to manage and plan out those. I do have other widget packs in the work, so if I have a student pack, you can probably guess what the next pack might be, but I do have other widget packs in the works. Whenever you buy a widget pack, you get free like future updates and additions to it. And so I started out with very pastel and neutral colors, the grays, the whites, the blacks, in addition to those pastel colors. And my envision was to continuously add to them, add more colors, possibly add more widgets themselves, different widget designs. And so if you purchased the pack, you also got a link to the folder that contains those updates and additions. And so if you bought a pack for say $5.99, you're getting really great value because you're going to get free additions over time. For those who don't purchase the packs and decide to get them later, maybe after additions were added, then the price will go up with those additions, but that only occurs to people who haven't purchased that pack. So the value of the packs are increasing over time, which is what I want all KDigital products to do eventually. So that's how I organized the widget packs like that. So I'm continuously providing even more value to the people that have supported me early on, and then for those who want to purchase later, they'll have all of those additions immediately whenever they do purchase. But yeah, so that's how the widget packs were created in that sense. As far as other Cyberry questions, yeah, I think a lot of it comes with just planning often in Cyberry and being open to trying new things whenever it comes to planning. For me, a lot of planning when it was on paper was to just write out my deadlines for school, things that were coming up. I didn't necessarily color code anything, just wrote things down as they came. If I got a syllabus early in the semester, go through and write out all the dates on the months and the weekly pages. Like I said earlier, I didn't do any daily planning, so daily planning is new for me, and that's how I'm using Cyberry to kind of incorporate those daily pages. But I'm just using Cyberry how I used my paper planners, how I planned before. I'm not a mother. I don't have like a ton of kids or family or anything like that, so I don't have to have other people's schedules. I don't have to worry about other people's schedules other than my own. But my vision for that was that I know that a lot of people like to have maybe their husband's schedule or their kids' schedules on hand. So that's where those monthly calendars, that's where the inspiration really came for those monthly calendars and the way other digital calendars, automated digital calendars are set up. So it really just takes kind of your own planning style to really make it yours. Like I said, if you're not using the monthly templates, like you don't need to feel compelled to use them all the time, every month, and you don't have to access those templates every single day for them to be useful to you. If you're accessing a template at the beginning of the month and the end of the month, that's still serving a functional purpose for you because you're doing something with it at the beginning that you need to do, and then at the end you're wrapping it up. So you don't have to access the monthly templates every day for them to be serving a purpose for you. And if you do want to, for instance, change any of those templates, maybe you're like me and you're not meal planning anymore or anything like that, you could change that if you wanted to. So you could do the screenshot trick, or you can do the like whiteout trick. And you could cover those icons even and paste your own or draw your own icons there if you really wanted to, and just kind of build out a whole new template system. I mean, you would have to copy and paste that on all the months, but you would be doing that 12 times. Or you could just like think in your mind, okay, the plate and fork aren't going to be my meal planning page. It's going to be my kids' snack page or my kids' schedule or something like that. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that you don't have to go exactly with how those templates are made. Really easy to kind of switch them up and change them up. So that's all that I'll answer today. If you have any more questions, you can continue to comment them, or if you're watching the replay of this later, you can comment them and I'll try to go back through and answer more of them after the session ends. But I hope you enjoyed the session. Again, later in the group, I will post a poll for our future group session. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful, and I think I'll end it here. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this session and kind of planning along with me if you did, and I hope I was able to answer or show you the most important or key parts that you've really been wanting to see in my own kind of planning out of the Cyberry planner. So thank you so much, and I am going to cut it here.